I've been working on building a VR virtual reality representation of historical places, especially historical places that no longer exist, which consists of a lot of our historical sites. We've been looking at Sophiatown specifically, trying to recreate what it actually looked like and felt like and the story surrounding it in virtual reality. My name is Pieter. I grew up in Mpumalanga and in Witbank. I've always had three main interests that just don't seem to leave me. History, architecture, which was my master's degree, and technology and computer sciences and coding. And somehow these three things just kind of came together for me.
ISAC is supervised by myself and Dr. Herman Myburgh, who is from the Metaverse Research Unit, which deals very closely with matters of artificial intelligence. I find ISAC's work very interesting because what he's trying, his aim is to bring multiple voices in the representation and mediation of Sophiatown as a cultural heritage space. As you know, Sophiatown is a very important part of South Africa's history. It has a long history that entails multiracial groups of people that live there. It's a cultural space, an artistic space, social, political space. And so he wants to sort of bring all these voices from the 1950s to recapture what Sophiatown was at that point in time.
Wednesday, 22nd July 1962. The night had been a relentless one.
When we approached the Trevor Huddleston Museum, which will be the final home for this VR experience as part of their exhibit, they have been looking for something like this since 2018. Unbeknownst to us, they've been trying to upgrade and update their exhibition because currently they only have stories. And you can only go so far with an oral story without the background. It's hard to imagine what was actually going on. So they've been looking for something like this. We've been working towards this, and it just linked up.
This is something we needed, but we didn't know exactly how it will come about. And Isaac and his team, they presented this to us. They gave us a brief, and it was exactly the Sophiatown. It's more of the tours that we run, but with virtual reality, it goes beyond that because they have to recreate the old Sophiatown, the buildings that were there. They interviewed quite a number of old residents, and it was amazing how they managed to put this together.
Guys, this is amazing.
So you've seen the photos in the Puma house.
Yes.
And now going into VR, is your picture of what Sophiatown looked like different?
It's very different. It feels like I'm in Sophiatown. The original Sophiatown. I can hear the sound, the music.
There are a lot of VR representations of historical places, but these are places which already exist. So people go and they scan the site or 3D model the site, put it in VR, anyone can visit now the Colosseum. But in South Africa and a lot of other African countries, history doesn't necessarily have a space that still exists. There's not a Colosseum to go visit. There are stories. So how can we take stories and turn it into space? That's been the real challenge. Keeping up with the pace has been incredible, but also so enabling because there are technologies and softwares which have enabled a single developer to kind of do the work of a large gaming studio in many ways. And that has really changed the game completely. Things that came out very recently, which I've been using prolifically in this project.
The UJ and especially FADA structures enable us to refine proposals and protocols before a student engages in the actual research. We needed to guide him to understand that this was just one aspect of his research, and that his research needed to focus on how to represent, how to mediate these cultural heritage spaces, the people who are here, the different voices, the different experiences that existed then.
And the poor, the exploiters and the exploited.
Support from UJ, indispensable. Every single step from this process has had UJ in the background, and I truly believe and hope and trust that UJ will continue providing on that process as they have. Now this exhibit, you will walk into the Heritage House, you will go in, and you will see what we're talking about. You will see the size. You can't believe how big this place used to be. They called it the Chicago of South Africa for a reason. You will see the enormous size of this cinema, the biggest cinema in Africa. You will see the homes, you will see the streets, you will see the markets bustling and the lively energy and the people narrating what's going on.
South Africa's history were questions of who could represent previously marginalized communities. And this was an important thing that Isaac had to grapple with. His study will also contribute quite significantly into extended realities. As you know, UJ is at the forefront of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and his work to a significant extent fits within that. This partnership that he's developed and the networks that he's been able to build by collaborating with this center has given him insight into what Sophiatown is.
Most South Africans know about Sophiatown because it's emblematic of something that happened in almost every South African city and town.
The University of Johannesburg, a future reimagined.